All right, hey folks. Well, we're going to we're continuing to build out the virtual tabletop assets, the maps, ship, creature, and NPC tokens for the supplement we've been creating: Spelljammer, Combat, and Exploration. Give me a second here to check my signal, make sure we're coming through clean, and I'll go through my intro spiel here real quick, and then we'll get to work. So hold on here real fast. Doing a check here. Mic check, mic check. 1, 2, 3. Doing a check here. Mic check, mic check. 1, 2. Yeah, sounds pretty good. All right, good. Let's see. Let's press a bunch of buttons here to get postings going on social media. And while I do that, I can revel you with my tragic backstory. Hey, my name's Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, and I publish them online. I have been focusing my attention on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition since Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica came out back in 2017. Actually, that's I was hoping that we were going to have some sort of a color mana system for Dungeons & Dragons, and when that didn't happen, that got me interested in creating homebrew. So there's actually a link in the description down below to a slew of books that I have created and probably will continue to create. Using the 5-color mana system that replaces the 8 schools of magic and spell slots for use with D&D, whether it's 3E, 5E, Pathfinder 1. It works with basically any D20 spellcasting system that you spend a resource to cast a spell. It's pretty simple. Check that stuff out. But so when the Spelljammer setting came out, similarly, I think everyone was expecting to see airship mechanics. There was boat on the water mechanics in Saltmarsh. There was vehicle on the ground mechanics for Infernal War Machines. I think we all expected to see some sort of vehicles in the sky mechanics, but that didn't happen either. So hold my beer. Let's get to work. I created the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration document. Started this back in August of 2022. You can check out the full playlist here of all 340 some odd episodes prior to now to see me cracking open the book in August 17, 2022 up till now where we're completing the book. If you find this stuff today interesting, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon to get notifications. So I'm here 11 times per week. I'm also on the X Twitter platform at Phil Kearney. You can follow me there to get notifications of when I go live. Shout out to the Reddit Spelljammer Preservation channel, our subreddit Spelljammer. Fantastic channel, great ideas being thrown around there. And we created this book cover back at episode 15 of this playlist, so you can see that being created. But right now, back, I think it was around episode 105 or so, we were creating creature tokens, and boy, I hate this one. So I wanna go back and touch up and fix this guy. His legs are stupid as all get out. So I need to fix this to help subside the shame of such bad artwork. I mean, there's other bad artwork in this book someplace. I can promise you that. But this one is particularly heinous. So let's just duplicate that group. We'll close that up. We're just gonna fix it. So we're just gonna spend some time. Let's just fix it. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna spend a little time here today fixing it. In case you're curious, the actual PDF is done. We're just now making assets. So this is it's 107 pages, including book cover. 105 pages within. 80 of them are dedicated to new mechanics for combat, spellcasting, and exploration. Basically taking the combat, spellcasting, and adventuring chapters from the Player's Handbook and DMG and converting them so that they can be used by ships at the 50-foot and 500-foot scale in combat. And then exploration, Spelljammers can fly up to 100 million miles per day, so scaling up visibility, encounter ranges, movement mechanics in astral sea and wild space to take into account that your ship could go anywhere from 5 feet per round to 100 million miles per day. There's a lot of bandwidth there for us to be able to build creative inside of. So that's what we did. And so that's the first 80 pages. The back 25 pages here, let me click on this icon. The back 25 pages is a appendix for converting Light of Xaryxis into using the mechanics that we're presenting here. There's also a short appendix for a random system generator that dives into a lot of the mechanics that we talk about inside of this book, and then frames them so that you can basically create a wild space system and have internal logic that we lay out here inside the book. So you can use this a very simple generator. The conversion guide basically goes through the entire adventure, and in 25 pages basically breaks down how to use the different combat and exploration mechanics we have in this supplement with Light of Xaryxis. So we're almost actually done with the conversion guide. We've been building a stack of assets here. Let's go to open in command. No, it's too far. Vehicle protection. So here's our VTT asset stack. We've got all the vessels converted. We've got all the craft converted. We have all the creatures that we have in Boo's Menagerie, and now we're going through Light of Xaryxis. We finish up the Astral Rain, Chapter 2, Attack of the Star Moth, the Treacherous Salvage Mission, Terrors of the Void. We have the Neogi combat. Here's the Neogi Dead Ahead. Like, these are all the assets that you need to drop all these tokens into the virtual tabletop. Roll20 is my weapon of choice to be able to run the campaigns. Like, all the assets that you need to do that. All the alternate encounters that we've created: the Omama hunt, the Neogi hunt, the Grave Alliance with Gargan Hale's crew. Did I have the Living on the Edge? Oops, I need to include. Oh, there it is. Yeah, the Last Breath. Cool. Have that in there, and then so the last. Right now we are in We're in part 3, Chaos and Doom Space. We have the Trust issue, Arena of Blood. And right now we're working on Discord and Diplomacy. The only thing that we need to finish here is creating an Aarakocra crewmate. And then we'll be able to move on. We'll be able to stitch this shut and then move into the part 4, Space Invaders. We don't have any of the assets pulled out of extracted from the document or the PDFs, PSDs that we created into tabletop assets as either PNGs or JPEGs. So that's what we're going to be working on today and tonight. Let me go ahead and get to work here on the Aarakocra. Let's fix this guy. We made a duplicate here, so once we're done, we can shred that. Aarakocra copy. I can just do the legs better. So let's do the legs better. It's just they look horrible. It can be salvaged though. That's all it's really going to take. So with God's grace, we'll finish this morning and skew this out. Now we'll be able to drop this into the folder, get it out of the way, and then we can just keep going here with more asset production assembly, as it were. I'm going to release. What I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and release it for virtual tabletop. The only thing that I want to have a stack of tokens that are printer friendly, so that folks can actually use this at their home table. But it's going to. I don't know how long it's going to take to finish that out, and if it's worth the extra time, because I could always just finish them and then release them, just add them to the zip file that's going to be included with this document. So I don't feel there's going to be a mad clamor to have this on people's home tables, like at the kitchen table. I think it's mostly going to be on virtual tabletop. But there should only be. I don't think it's worth the extra week to wait for the print assets to come out when I can just add them on after the fact. I'd rather just finally get this thing published, so that it's something that we can, talk about and point people towards and start building on. There was a great question in the subreddit yesterday about Illithid ships, I don't know if there's any official lore on how Illithid ships are actually created, but my own personal lore is that they are mutated parasites, kind of like what are the Ultralithid, or like these giant brute things. They have the gray golems, the brain matter golems that they can create. The elder brain pool thing. That's basically just sitting in a vat of juice. That's an ultra intelligent creature being served by its lesser Illithid servants. It has its pool, which has all the little parasitic creatures that you stick in people's eye socket, and then they become Illithid in time. Those tiny little parasites are mutated in various ways to create different types of creatures. And so my own personal philosophy is that those same creatures are used to create the spelljamming ships that the Illithid use. That the ships themselves are living ships, which is a supplement that I want to create for this after we release this initial document. And the Illithid are a great example of like how you can implement living ships in your campaign, and then we'll have mechanics for how players can have their own living ship sidekicks to basically be giant dogs that follow the team around and fly through space with their human buddies or player character friends. But so the point I was trying to make is living ships. We have a cuddle ship fighter craft that's a 20-foot vessel, and then from there they evolve over time. They just continue. They keep growing. They just keep growing until they're destroyed. So a successful fighter craft will eventually evolve into a larger size vessel. And so I want to, when we build out the living ship supplement, we'll be able to implement things like the cuttlefish growing into, like the cuttlefish is a 20-foot craft, and then we can have it grow out to a 50-foot craft, and I'm not sure what that one's going to be called yet. But at the 100-foot scale, we can have the octopus ship, and then we have the 200-foot nautiloid that is already in the supplement. And then from there, it grows out to like a 350-foot ship. We'll probably call it a Kraken. And then there's there's already in second edition a Dreadnought, which is going to be the 500-foot size craft, and that's the largest craft or the largest vessel that we're going to create for the Illithid. At the 500 feet is the largest size that a spelljamming helm can push, that can basically empower a ship to fly. You can link a series of helms together to be able to have larger structures be able to fly as well. But I don't have plans for any Illithid classification larger than the 500-foot dreadnoughts. It would just basically be bigger dreadnoughts at that point. There's no reason to continue building out classes beyond that. Hey, what's up? The only king of the corn. Cool. That's a big boat. They are big boats, man. I mean, they're big boats. King, I don't know if you've seen any of my stuff before, but let's go. Let's see. Here's the finished PDF. Let's go to. Yeah. Here we go. Here's the different schematic. We have we're building individual ship pages for each of these things, the statistics and stuff. But here's just the overhead view of the cuttlefish. It's got the tentacles, obviously, you can attack with. It has an Eldritch Cannon built into it, so you can, pew with Spellfire. And this is at the 20-foot scale. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4 by 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a 20-foot ship. And then Over here, we have the Nautiloid, which is also a 4x4, but at the 50-foot scale. So same tentacles. It just got bigger, right? It just kind of elongated over time. So when we build out the octopus, this will be a supplement, but when we build out the octopus, it has the same basic frame here of like a central, like it's bubble knot part of it, and then but the tentacles start to extend out beyond that. But it's still only 100 feet in scale, so it'd be a 2 by the Tyrant ship is 100 feet, the turtle's 100 feet. So like the octopus, its central mass would mostly be back here at the 50-foot space, and then its tentacles would reach out like that. And so when we get into the Nautilus, or the Nautiloid, it's 200 feet, and then we could go to like the Hammerheads and the Squid Ship are the largest ships that they have published in the Adventures in Space. So this is the largest scale that I went to in this core supplement. But we've had a number of previous episodes talking about like the Ogre Mammoth, which is a 500-foot scale Skrull army vessel. The Elves, they have the Star Moth, and we have the Warbird. But then they also have the Monarch, which is a 500-foot scale butterfly that it launches little flitter ships off of. And the flitters are little 15-foot craft. So we'll have an elf supplement, so we can have the flitter, the Warbird, the Star Moth, and then the Monarch to be the 4 different classifications of ships that are in the Elven Armada. You have the Goblin Arrow. We have the Orc Scorpion. And then we need to build out, in addition to that, to the Ogre Mammoth. And then I think there's something like the Scorpion's a 75-foot craft. The Mammoth is a 500-foot craft. I think there's something in the old 2nd edition books that have Orc with like a 200 or 250-foot craft. I need to track that down and then build that out. And then for the Illithid, for the Neogi, we have the 200-foot Night Spider. We have the 40-foot Spiderling, which are small fighter craft. And then there's also the Mind Spider, which was apparently the story goes is that the Mind Spider was a misprinted, smaller scale craft that should have been larger, but there was a miscommunication between the art team and the art direction and the creators, but it wasn't important enough for them to fix it, so they just left it. The Mind Spider is basically like a 50-foot, maybe it was a 75-foot craft. A ship that was supposed to be. It has a tower on the back of it. It's supposed to be like a carrier craft, like a massive scale ship that would be like a floating fortress. And then there's it was miscast. So I want to create the Mind Spider at its 500-foot scale, so it acts as a carrier home for Neogi slavers. And then there's the Dwarven Citadel, which is a 500-foot asteroid that's carved into the shape of whatever dwarves want to do, like faces of famous emperors and stuff. Sorry, I gotta fix mine. Here we go. Hey, I mean, hey, builders gotta build, you know? I have a muse inside of me, and she forces me to do things like make artwork, make new books. We've been working on it for 19 months since the release of it in August 2022. That's how long it takes to. That's how long it took me anyway to rebuild the combat, spellcasting, and exploration chapters of the player's handbook to be able to accommodate these ships at the 50 and 500-foot scale. So. Sounds like you don't know much about this. You just kind of stumbled in here. So welcome to the mix, man. Yeah, we have scaling combat here. D&D typically portrays combat at the 5-foot scale, but for the fighter craft, we have the 50-foot and 500-foot scale as well. You can see here how you can bounce between the different scales. The 500-foot squares here, where you can have an entire fleet of ships fighting each other, kind of like having a bunch of goblins on the battlefield against your characters. Then you can zoom into the 50-foot scale here to be able to conduct melee combat and boarding missions between ships. And then if you let a ship get close enough to board you, you default to how D&D assumes you're going to play Spelljammer, where it's basically a floating dungeon where you have creatures fighting at the 5-foot scale. But we use all of the action here. I'll bounce around inside the document to take you to where we got to go. Ship rolls. There you go. So here's all the action economy that characters can use during a normal round of combat while in command of a ship, using your actions, bonus actions, reactions, and object interactions to pilot move and fight with ships. You can also, at the same time, use some of your action economy to command crews of siege crews to load and fire weapons. If you have more than one ship in your fleet, you have squadrons of ships, you can use your action economy to command multiple ships to attack other ships or structures at the same time. And then support options basically gives advantages and other bonuses to other roles. Like you yourself could use a bonus action to target with a siege weapon, use an attack action to make a ranged ship attack with a siege weapon, use your bonus action to automatically reload that weapon as part of your round of combat, and then have your crew attack again. If you were, say, an 11th level fighter with 3 attacks, you didn't have an attack left over, you could use your object interaction to move the ship that you're on, and then use your remaining attack to make a melee attack against another ship. Here's a fun illustration with little spiderlings targeting a space galleon for ambush. But then we get down here, we're looking at like ranges, like what kind of the different types of cover that creatures have affects what kind of weapons can target them. Here we have bludgeoning rams, piercing rams, slashing rams. Here's the different ranged weapons that we have. Here's the mechanics for commanding multiple siege weapons to fire in silos. The raw statistics for the generic types of ranged weapons that we have. Here's some mounted weapons like harpoon flingers from Descent into Avernus, and the Eldritch Cannon that we created to convert cantrips into siege damage. Squadrons and how squadrons work together to be single tokens. Like at the 500-foot scale, you can have multiple ships sit inside of one token to have all those ships attack the same as you would have a slew of weapons attack together. You have a slew of squadrons attack together, so you can increase your scale. Some basic mechanics on how that stuff works, how you can group together squadrons to be able to command them as single actions. Here's the damage types that these fleets can do, so they're just single attack rolls. It all works really fluidly. We did playtesting for both the actual Light of Xaryxis encounters in Light of Xaryxis, as well as converted Descent into Avernus into a Spelljammer campaign to help further playtest these mechanics. And goddamn, they're smooth, man. They're really, really fun. So it's really exciting to be able to bring these type of ideas to the table, like what you can do with 5e. 5e for me is like 5e is all about like hold my beer, you know, like the color mana system that I have linked down below to replace the 9 schools of magic with the 5 colors from Magic the Gathering, and then have a mana system that you can tap and burn mana to cast spells instead of like spell slots. It's super fun stuff. How is everything before I hit? I keep meaning I have arrived. What's up, Hernetico? But keep forgetting. Right on. Hey, Karen. Is there a Patreon? I have a Patreon. This is going to be on the DMsGuild, but if you check all the links in the books down below, all my books, you can read all of them, like from cover to cover. But I do have a Patreon, and you are welcome to support me there. Here it is. My Discord is on the About page of the Patreon. This will be on DMsGuild when it releases, and there's about 80 tokens. Like this is a token that I'm building. There's about 80 tokens that are included with it. So you can get the core mechanics of how it works. You can just look at that. I'm fine with you just looking at it, so you understand how it works. And you can look at any of the books I have down below as proof that, you know, I share shit. But all these assets, these will all be in a zip folder that'll be available if you purchase the thing. Then you'll get all these assets as well. Like the one the asset that I'm most proud of that I haven't seen anyone else create anywhere is the Citadel of Light for Light of Xaryxis. It's only a 1 mile asteroid, so it has planar gravity, which means it has a top and a bottom. But no one ever talks about the bottom. So we made a bottom side to it. It's fortified. It also has a forest underneath it to explain how it has perpetual air. But this becomes like a little, you can have like a little run and gun mission inside of here. Each square is 500 feet. Your goal is to get to the Citadel of Light, which is on the other side, on the top side of the map. Like this is your character's destination in the campaign. So you could land quietly on the underside of the forest using Gargan Hale's invisibility ability. He's a vampire. He can make ships invisible. It's what he can do. So it's just one of their abilities. So you could fly an invisible ship to the underside here, land, go to the underside of the citadel, jump off the edge, use the gravity plane to bounce to the top side, and just climb up. And now you're there. You don't have to fuck around with any of this stuff. You can throw an entire armada of ships, and that's what you do. You gather a whole armada to go attack, and here's the setup for the board. So all you have to do is break your ship away. Like, here's your ship aboard inside of this armada. You break your ship away invisibly while the rest of the stuff is fighting to go to the citadel, to then land either like at the docks as the adventure suggests, and then be escorted to the citadel or to the temple, or if you want, land again on the underside, run through the forest, jump off the ledge, and get there yourself. So whatever your team wants to do, we're providing you the options to be able to do it. Do you want to throw an asteroid? Have your armada all throw hooks and chains on the back of an asteroid, tow it to Xaryxis space, and then lob it at the Citadel of Light? You can do that. Go right ahead. That's totally fine. We have the damage. How many hit points of damage each section's at the 1 mile scale, at the 500-foot scale, the actual structures on top of the Citadel. We have hit point capacities for all this stuff. So if you do want to lob asteroids at this, you can. We have the mechanics for doing that in here. So fun book. Cool stuff. It's just opening up the options. Once you have some basic mechanics of how to throw asteroids at each other, you are literally playing rocket tag with mountains. So that's something that can be done in a campaign. Are you, as a DM, concerned that your team is going to be able to grab an asteroid and throw it at Waterdeep to destroy that metropolis? So is Waterdeep. They've got measurement. They have people that keep an eye out for that kind of crap. Plus, the DM would have to allow you to accumulate enough ships to have a large enough stone in place to actually be able to threaten the cities. So if your DM doesn't want you lobbing asteroids at cities on planets, then the DM just doesn't give you the opportunity to purchase enough ships to be able to do it. Sorry, Charlie, we don't want to be a part of your crazy moon mission. We quit. That's a morale check. And we have morale and mutiny rules up in the hazards section for when your team does decide to go psychopathic like that. But it's something that can be done. It's also a legitimate threat that enemy armies can perpetuate or can place on other societies. Like the Orc army becomes infinitely more dangerous when they have enough scorpion ships to tow massive asteroids to lob it at Everdell or wherever it is that they hate elves the most. Just lob it and destroy them. That becomes a fun quest. The elves now have to prevent the Skrull army from bringing that asteroid into orbit to drop it onto their mountain, potentially destroying it. Like the dwarves, when they get sassy and they've ran out of ore inside of a flying citadel, they just drop it on whoever they hate the most. Hey, this asteroid's not worth anything to us anymore. We should probably throw it away. Okay, who do we want to throw it away at? There's a Skrull settlement over there. Let's destroy it from orbit. The Spelljammer is such a cool campaign. There's just so much cool shit you can do. That's much better birdage. I'm much happier with you now, buddy. Like most campaigns can't handle that kind of crap. But if you pipeline, like if you restrict how many resources a character has, I mean, it is expensive to run a fleet of ships. Like if you want a gold sink, try maintaining an aristocratic lifestyle for 15 ships over the course of a year. Like that is going to cost you 6 digits worth of gold to keep all that stuff going. It's just ridiculously expensive. But if your campaign is like, what's next? Like that's a very good next to have. That feels good. There, we'll do that. And I want to clean this up a little bit, and we can start coloring this. But yeah, most of the assets are done. This weekend was very productive, but I still have the ship. I still have the ship stats sheets to do. So that's I suspect there's a decent chance I'll have all of the virtual tabletop assets resolved by the time we stream this evening. If not, I could probably get it done during the hour and a half that I'll be streaming tonight. But we only have a couple maps left, and they're already built out. I just got to extract them and then drop them into the VTT folder. And then we have the 22 ship stat sheets to build. We figured out on Saturday. Was it Saturday? Yeah, it was on Saturday. We figured out the proportions, like how large the ship image assets need to be on the actual statistics sheet page. And now we just have to fill in all the stats for all 22 ships that we have in the book. So get the art set, get the little icons to point at each of the weapon systems, list all the weapon systems underneath, list the hit points and damage capacity, damage resistance, and saving throws. And then next to that, have the inventory list, and do that 22 times, and then that piece will be done, and that'll be the last component that we need before this thing publishes. Looks like we're going to publish it this week. So about fucking time. God, 20 months later, hold my beer. That beer's warm and flat. It's time for a new beer, Kearney. So once this book is finished, we'll be working on the Eberron Crystals of Mavar adventure. We'll be doing this. I'm actually really happy that we did this Spelljammer book first, because I honestly didn't know how to lay out and build an adventure. But after doing the conversion guide for Light of Xaryxis, I feel pretty damn confident that we're going to be able to build out a really cool looking adventure for that Eberron thing, the Crystals of Mavar that we've been building. So time well spent. And then we'll do living ships, and then we'll do space mecha and kaiju. Then we'll do the elves, the Illithid, the night spiders, the Skrull, and the Neogi ships expanded. And then we can start looking at this'll. By the time we get to it, the new player's handbook should be out in September, which means that we'll be able to finish the martial powers book and the color mana conversion over to the 2024 player's handbook. And once that's taken care of, we can start building martial powers for pilots, so we can convert the martial powers mana system for ship combat and mecha combat. That will probably, at that point, we'll have maybe like 9 months of playtesting for the Asteroid Belt campaign that we built for Eberron and Spelljammer. And if that's playing out well, then I'll be able to start boxing that up, file off the serial numbers with the name Eberron, get rid of that, and make it something more generic, and then start doing a Kickstarter for that. And that'll be 2025, which will fold together the command mechanics that we've been using for guilds and kingdoms, as well as and then we'll be able to use the tech that we acquired with this spelljamming book to reverse engineer to our mass combat ground fighters and the mass combat system that we were building before this all happened, put on hold so we could make this happen. But during that process, like, the reload mechanics are great for coordinating large scale battle. I think that's a really good mechanic that we can keep and help simplify through that command die to simplify mass combat and to add a little bit of risk and reward for commanding that many troops at the same time. Because the only difference between a 50-foot fighter craft and a squad of 100 medium-sized creatures is basically going to be morale. It's basically the morale mechanics, making sure that they're coordinating their actions. That's a lot of people to coordinate at the same time. So we'll just basically use squadron mechanics for creatures, and then we already have the generic creature mechanics in place from the original command system. So we can basically convert any creatures you can imagine into squadrons or squads, platoons, to be able to command at large scale. And So that'll happen as well. Maybe in 2025 at some point we can get that built out. All my shit takes forever. Hey, what's up? The my group have. I'm going to create a little bit more space here. Rearrange my window. As DM of your group, congratulations. I have fallen in love with the whole sailpunk genre. Spelljammer is a bit more futuristic, but I am still thankful for being able to get so much inspiration from its setting. Yeah, yeah. There's various spelljamming ships that have sails that don't have sails. So like, what actually makes a ship go is far less about sails in 5e than it was in 2nd edition. But if you still want to have sails be the prominent power source, you are certainly capable of doing so. No one's gonna crap on that. I gotta fix these feet and get going. I'm on a tear this morning. Can you tell? Like, I didn't expect to have to do this. It's just it's just they're like my God, the tokens for Prince Zeleth and Princess Zidali, they look real inbred. And I freaking hate their faces. Like, God, you guys just look wrong. Like, there is almost an uncanny valley effect happening with them. But unironically, I kind of like it because the idea of royalty being inbred is like a meme. So I think I'm just gonna leave them in place, as hideous as they are. I'm not gonna show you. You're gonna have to buy the thing and open up the zip file to find out how hideous these guys are. That's gonna be on you to find out. But yeah, spoiler alert. They're looking pretty. Like their gene pool is awfully thin. It's a very shallow gene pool these kids are working with. That poor Zodar, he's like, God, these people are just stupid as hell. I think I can stretch that out a touch. This is not epic art, but it's good enough. So here was our colored bit, which is a little skewed. So let's take this. Let's just take all this. God, what a horrible illustration. They can't all be natural 20s, man. For every natural 20, there's going to be a 1 somewhere. Oh, this guy's ugly as sin. Get those. Oh, God, look, wasn't that horrible? God damn, what were you thinking, Kearney? I'm thinking I was tired as hell, and I gave up, knowing that I'd have to come back around and do this eventually, and then I forgot about it, and now I'm like, God damn it, I have to do that, and now I have nothing but sads. That's okay. We're doing fine. We're doing fine. Everything's gonna be fine. I mean, otherwise, it's a pretty cool sketch, you know? I mean, it's not bad. It's just, goddamn, that anatomy. Get out of here. Get out of here. All right. So, hey, Karen. Yeah, it is far better. It's just, yeah, leaning into that spear is pretty important. Let's go here. I'm just going to paint over. I don't care. I saw the second Dune movie yesterday. God damn, that's a good film. I am looking forward to, apparently, the third one. Spoiler alert, they're going to do another one. assuming it still makes money, and I can't imagine it not making money. It was good. It was like legit good. It felt like a natural extension of the first one. Like, it just picks up where it left off and just keeps going, and it feels real natural. I spy with my eyes something that is text. What's up, Karen? Yeah. I can relate to try to draw something when you're so tired it looks like crap, so you have to go back and redo it. Yeah, God, yes. Of course it is, because you have a hate. The hate fuels the creativity. It's like, God, I got to get you out of my life. Thanks, folks, for showing up today. I really appreciate it. I started doing God, I started to do videos like publishing like pseudo scripted videos on Sundays, and I would create them on Saturday, but they'd take anywhere from 2 to 4 hours to make, which would just completely shell the production time that I had on, like, Saturdays are big production days for me. So I do my stream in the morning, and then I jump offline, and then I work all day. And when I started doing those videos, the work all day that I would do on Saturday became making a video. It's like, I'm not finishing my book. I'm making videos now. This is not what I want to have happen. And since stopping that, I'm guessing YouTube is angry at me or something. But my viewership is just completely shelled. And which is fine. I didn't expect to ever. I mean, I can always hope that my channel would grow and prosper, but I also recognize that YouTube doesn't really like this format. Like, it allows you to live stream, but it doesn't want you to live stream. It wants you to make short, quick videos where it can have a higher number of ads per video, because the ads per hour when you do long stream is very minimal. But I think ultimately what I'm going to have to do is just use my YouTube channel as a loss leader and never expect to make any money on it directly, but to use it as a sounding board and a chance to show off what I'm doing, just like I'm doing right now. And just rely on sales and Kickstarter interest and Patreons to help me build enough money to eventually, quit my day job so I can do this full time. So it was yeah, I don't play the game the way that YouTube really wants us to. Having said all that, liking, subscribing, bell icon, notifications, sharing, and checking out all my shit is incredibly appreciated. And it's for Karen and Hornetico and Krieg and anyone else that comes around and hangs out, Tyla, Ked. I just really appreciate you guys showing up and taking an interest in the shit that I do. So I don't think I have the business acumen to become like really big, and I spend too much time building stuff, and I recognize that if I'm going to accelerate, I probably have to start doing broader content videos. That seems to be the only way to really succeed in the RPG industry, is have a lot of quirky, smart comments about how to game or DM advice, and then start selling stuff off of the popularity that you got off of your ideas to like reverse engineer it. But that always feels so dishonest to me. It just rubs me wrong. So everything that feels right for me to do and the most natural and the most integrity and the best like the most authentic way for me to do stuff like absolutely does not make any money. But I would desperately love to be able to get to a place where like I could do this 8 hours a day instead of having to only do it like 2, maybe 3 hours a day and then have a day job. That'd be amazing. Because there's so much shit I want to get done. Anyway, I'm ranting about money, which means I'm tired. So never mind. Let's get back to work. It'll be what it's supposed to be. The muse has me do this, so she knows what the future holds. Martial Power. Oh my God! I finished the Eldraine set. The past week, I was going through the Monstrous Compendium 4 off of D&D Beyond, the Creatures of Eldraine. I was trolling. I was basically trawling for Magic the Gathering queues to see how the MTG, how the Wizard staff was approaching Magic the Gathering conversions, and I like that. That feels pretty good. Where's our horrible legs? Thank you. Grab that color. And now we had that finished. I guess that's what we were doing at lunchtime, but that was done. And the Eberron Asteroid Belt campaign is up and running, so that's not something I have to develop at lunchtime anymore. So I guess I'm going to go back to finishing up the Rubble Belt Westmarch campaign idea to playtest the Martial Power system and get ready to start playtesting Martial Powers, because I guess that's the next thing on my list. There's also Spell Point Sorcerers. But I'm thinking, I'm not sure if I want to dedicate hard time to that prior to the release of the new, to New Player's Handbook in 2024. It might be a decent reason for me to hold off on doing. I mean, the Spell Point Sorcerers, it's like 75% done. Hey, what's up? Becoming independent is always a scary and risky. Yeah, you know. Hey, I do. I really do what I love. It's good to see. And thanks a lot. I appreciate that. It's just we built it. I think the path to success is keep doing whatever it is that you're doing, regardless of whether anyone is looking or not. And at some point, whatever it is that you're doing explodes, and people see what you were doing, and then they see all the other stuff that you had been doing prior to them catching notice of you, and then everything catches fire and you explode. And I am fine with that. Honestly, me being slow cooked into whatever it is that I'm supposed to become is probably, like, the slower it cooks, the least chance it's going to boil over, if you know what I mean, right? Like, the last thing I want to do is catch a large audience and then spiral out and think that it's owed to me and become entitled about stuff and lose track of who I am and where I'm at and why I started doing this in the first place. So I'm fine with the slow cook. It is what it's supposed to be. The only thing that, I mean, I love my job. I love that I have a secure home, that I can support my family. These are all things I am incredibly blessed of. But at the same time, I would love to do this more. Can I have some more, please? Blessings. Blessings and blessings. Put this off to the side. We can have that there. That's fine. Let's do it like that. I think the Mecha and Kaiju book. I don't know, man. I don't know if it's the Living Ship book or the Kaiju book that I'm going to be more excited about. But the size, the scaling that we have here for creatures, constructs, and stuff, that's pretty exciting. I don't know how long. Honestly, I don't know in 2024 plus, like in 2025 when the new books drop. I don't honestly know how supportive Wizards is going to be of DMsGuild. Like, it could get pulled at some point, but it is certainly the place to go to build IP. And so that means, like, Magic the Gathering stuff either is on my Patreon or on DMsGuild, right? And if DMsGuild continues to falter in popularity, then I might just have to export everything into Patreon and just start doing fan-based content stuff. But while the DMsGuild exists, and if I can justify, I mean, I just need to see some sort of shred of success there. Everyone on DMsGuild is like at 25% of what they were during the pandemic. And it could just simply be that there was a pandemic explosion and people were still hungry and Wizards hadn't fucked over their customer base and drove them away. What a bunch of idiots. But DMsGuild currently is a shell of what it used to be. But it is the place to publish stuff like this for D&D content right now. So the Creative Commons can be generic. Thank you, Timely Timer. I should take a sip, you're right. No kidding. The way that I run my my Warforged in Eberron, and I talk about this occasionally, is that the soul is in like the docents, like the little spheres that have intellect inside of them. That's the soul. In my opinion, that's the soul of the Warforged. And this tiny little nub can just be plugged into any machine, whether it's a Warforged, like a typical Warforged medium size or small size frame. It's just a frame that houses the intelligence. So these little balls are like little AI things. I for a while I was running Numenera before I decided to get into 5e. I was doing 3.5 / Pathfinder 1 in Dark Sun, and then we eventually my home table we all eventually was like, yeah, let's try 5e. Let's see what it's like. It seems kind of cool. And so, but before we did 5e, I did Eberron in Numenera Cypher system, and it was at that point that we developed the whole campaign was about the characters were Warforged characters, and they were trying to rescue abandoned Warforged battlements that didn't know the war had ended, that were eventually going to be swept up and destroyed because they were, rogue AI elements that were committing war against the now peaceful nations. So they wanted to go in and quote-unquote rescue them, to make them overcome their programming, to recognize that the war had actually ended, that they can, swap their swords for plows and try to build life in society. But they had to rescue them from their own programming. So they had to break the bunkers that these AI, like they have these AI systems of all these docents, like rings of docents that were all coordinating together, commanding automated facilities in these pillbox bunkers that were built in the sides of mountains. And so they'd have to crack open the bunker, go in dungeon delving style, fight through and disable without destroying as much machinery as they could to get to the AI core, and then have a diplomacy conversation with them like, hey, we're trying to rescue you here. Become aware of this and try to instill independent sentience and free will into these machines. And when they would succeed, they would add that to their army of Warforged. So these little AIs, they would collect them as souls. And I've talked about the redemption campaign a number of times in other streams. But long story short, they as they went along, they collected more and more tech and mecha, and they could extract themselves and then drop themselves into different warframes, as it were. And to be able to conduct aerial combat or ground combat or underground combat with different size frames that they would use. So that is one of the things that I get to do with this because the fighter craft that we have in the book. The only difference here. Let's go back. Tangent. Another tangent. The only the spiderling is my favorite. The spiderling and the cuttlefish are my favorite examples. The cuttlefish is basically like an invid, little. It's a 20 foot by 20 foot, like it's a gargantuan size frame, but the spiderling's 40 feet, and all of these are active weapons. And so when a pilot focuses on a spelljamming helm and maintains concentration, focus is like a mild form of concentration. You can you infuse your essence into the machine, and it basically moves like a natural creature does, which is why so many in this lore. The reason why so many spelljamming ships look like creatures is because once you infuse your essence into it, it can actually move like a creature. So like if you know how a spider moves, you can move a spiderling or a night spider craft, and you can have it attack with multiple weapons and grasp things and knit it up in nets and stuff. Or like if you understand how a bird flies, then the shrike ship and the flying fish become real easy to navigate because you understand how these creatures move. So the thing that you instill with life, with your essence, it gets to move like you do. So you can have melee combat as these creatures, almost like a druid wild shifting into a fighter craft, right? But the difference, there's no. Where am I at in here? Blop. Right. So why are you blurry? Why are you so blurry? So, but the mechanics, the combat mechanics are exactly the same from 5e. This spiderling as a mecha, as a 40-foot mecha, acts the same as a giant spider would at the 5-foot scale, except that it occupies a 50-foot square instead of a 5-foot square. So using that same logic, I can use the exact same mechanics for building these craft, and all the rules for building these craft are earlier in the chapter here. So all you gotta do is just scroll down, and you'll see like the materials add statistics, and the size of the ship has statistics, and the material, and you have the cost breakdown. And so here's the examples of like the different frames of the different ships that we have. So the only difference between a spider and like a Gundam or an Evangelion or an Escaflowne style like humanoid knight mecha is the shape. It's literally just the fucking shape. So I can just extract all those mechanics and drop them in as a supplement. It's like, here's your mecha. Here's a 50-foot mecha, go fight giants. Here's a 500-foot mecha, go fight space giants. It's super simple, but spelling it out is something that I can build, and it'd be fun to build, so I will. But the mechanics are already here. All you gotta do is just plug and play. You know, just make up your own fighter craft in a humanoid shape, and then using the different mechanics that we use for the action economy, you can just act like a normal fighter in a 50-foot warframe, and now you're making 3 attacks per round, bonus action, reaction, movements. It's all exactly the same, except at the 50-foot scale instead of the 5-foot scale. So it's all super easy. And then you can make giants like Bigby's Glory of the Giants. Like the cover has like a 400-foot giant on it, but they didn't provide any mechanics of like how a 400-foot giant would work. This book already has everything in this book that we're looking at right now. Already has all the mechanics that you need for scaling creatures into tens or hundreds of miles in size. It's just a matter of what do you need for your campaign. What scale of threat do you need, and what resources are you going to give the characters to fight against it? So having creatures at a 500-foot scale, kaiju-style creatures, and then having mecha that you can fight them at the 50 and 500-foot scale, basically just puts you back into fighting goblins, orcs, and ogres again, just at a larger scale. But the mechanics and the action economy and the damage thresholds, it's all basically the same. Super simple. Easy to implement. Very easy. The only real trick is just like, what kind of scale do you want for your campaign to be able to make all this stuff work for you? So anyway, this is why I geek out about stuff, because now that we have these mechanics in place, and once we publish them, it's like there's so much we can do with it. It just literally just opens up the scale of campaigns for 5e games. Unfortunately, I built it before I'm popular, so it'll be mostly forgotten. It won't even be forgotten. It just won't ever be seen. Most people aren't ever going to see this, regardless of what it can like. There was like a $2 million Kickstarter on Kaiju, and they didn't increase scale. It's just your 5-foot character running along the back of a kaiju and stabbing it in the eye. Really? People are paying $2 million for that? Fuck you. This is where I get bitter, you know? It's like, man. Anyway, I haven't earned it. The reason people make that money in those campaigns is because they earned it. And I can't be bitter about that. Sorry, I'm being bitter about that. I give that foot a tilt. My advisors tell me not to get bitter on screen because it's unappealing to people. I respect that. But that's why I haven't exploded yet, because I haven't earned it. Have to respect the process. Let's grab some of that. Just feather that in. Literally feathering that in. I haven't had a hard economic rant in a while. I was probably due for one. Hey, what's up? I mean, you could try to... maybe I could. Maybe I could. I'm burying my ass a little bit too much today. My apologies. But thank you. Thank you for caring. The fact that you stuck around and didn't just bail out of the channel is... I appreciate that about you. Yeah, it'll be what it's supposed to be. And most of the things I decide to do are by inspiration, and I'm legitimately proud of the things that I create. So I'm just venting, honestly. I'm just venting. I'm mostly just angry about how soiled the community has become about wizards in general, because it's like the stuff that I build have an incredibly long pipeline. Because it's basically just me, and and whoever I can hire on to help me out. So but I do all my own art, which is probably a dumb idea. Sadly, it's probably really dumb for me to try to do all my own artwork. I should, if I really wanted to upscale stuff, like I'd be hiring other artists, or using stock art, or God forbid AI. Fucking AI. Like, how can you be a real artist and want to use AI? And it's like you can't get AI to create the image that you actually want. You just give up. It's like, this is as good as it's gonna get, so let's just build something around this, since this is all that AI will actually produce for us. It's kind of frustrating. I messed around with AI for like maybe 3 days, and I'm like, yeah, I can't get this thing to do anything. It's like, for me to take whatever it gave me and to then work it into a solution, I could have just done it from scratch. If you don't care what your artwork is, see, that's the problem. If you don't care what your artwork is, you can go ahead and use AI to create stuff. But you are actively saying, I don't care what artwork is in this book. But that's where most people are at anyway. Most people that create books don't have any control over the artwork that's going to be in it. They have to go find it. It's dumbasses like me that became an artist first and then a game designer later that know the difference between, wow, I can make this page look exactly the way that I want it to, that get trapped up in this production cycle. Like making the book look exactly the way that I want it to, creatures look the way that I want them to. Layout, all that stuff, like it's just that's where the art for me is at. Like being able to create these things, like being able to peel them out of my brain and put them on the page for you. But it's so slow. It is so slow. I was like, God, man, it'd be awesome if AI could help me like speed this stuff up, but it can't. It really can't. At best, AI can get to a point where it is capable of taking my style and it's like, yeah, fill in some forest back though the way that I would do it. And it'd be like a co-pilot sort of thing. It's like, yeah, we know how you do forests, and then we'd just like get after it. Like that would be a legitimate use of AI for active artists. Like I think that would be a really productive use of this. Like I could spend another 7 hours rendering this forest. Or you could just take all the other forests that I've rendered and just do another one for me, please. Like, that feels like a healthy relationship with AI tech. and that's what I've been looking for, honestly. Once AI can legitimately do that, like legitimately be a co-pilot, then I will be actually interested in seeing how I can implement AI into my workflow. It would be a matter of just training it on my own style. I understand like what the tech of that is, but I don't think the general nature of AI is good enough to be able to like take a couple samples and to be able to help build that with me. I think that ended up being like a conversation with the program, so it understand like what it is that I'm looking for, but they aren't smart enough or robust enough yet to be able to actually pull off that conversation and do like that. That looks so much better already. It still needs some work, but way, way better than was. Ugh. Very happy I decided to do this, not just keep the token. It's totes worth. Let's get that curve right. Danku. Yeah, it's gonna look cool. What's up? Oh, thanks, man. But there is a hint of originality that you just can't. It's the cohesiveness of it. It's the consistency. It's the control of imagery. Like when I the Warforged book that I will inevitably build is I'll be able to build out all those mecha. You know, it's gonna be fucking cool. I'll be able to have my vision of how I like Warforged to look and like how these docents fit into these different frames, and then have God knows how many different frames and all the expansions and all the additional tech and the add-ons, and they can all have that cohesive look that I want. Like this is the way that Phil expresses mecha. Like that has its own value, and as much as I like to bitch and complain, it's mostly me just wishing I was further down the road than I am, and you know, que sera sera. With God's grace, I'll have an opportunity to have another few decades to be able to build out these things and do all this stuff. If my timeline ends up being shorter than that, then all I can do is all I can do, and apparently that's supposed to be enough. Yeah, let's just do that. Can't stop the signal now. Fuck, it's so fun. I need to change the angle on that. There. This guy's looking pretty dope. I like this. I like these changes. Changes approved. Oh my god, is it almost... Oh, it might be almost time for me to watch Cougar Town again. Jesus Christ. If you have not seen Cougar Town, I think it's on Netflix. God, that show is legitimately funny. Like, for reals, anything that Courtney Cox is in is that her name? I think that's her name. She was on Friends, you know, and Pleasantvale. Like, anything that she's in is like, whoever her agent is that gets her scripts in hands, like, she makes really good choices on shows that she's on. Her shit is legitimately funny. But Cougar Town, goddamn, Cougar Town was a funny show. It lasted like 4 seasons. Apparently they had some sort of writer change in the last season. It ended up being pretty derpy. But as long as you watch everything but the last episode, that show is like just like with the remade Battlestar. Like as long as you don't watch the last episode, it's an awesome show. Cougar Town is the same way. What time is it? 7:42. Okay. I've got 15 minutes left, so I'm gonna put 15 minutes in my clock. And all I gotta do is some leg cleanup. So we're gonna finish this. Hooray. Cougar Town, man. That show is so funny. I've watched Cougar Town with my gal 3 times all the way through since we actually watched it in syndication back whenever the hell that was on actual TV. And then we've watched it on Netflix twice. And we're probably gonna end up watching it again in like maybe in a year. I can feel it crawling around. Let's do that. Take that to there. No, I have a timer that goes off every 20 minutes to make sure that I don't fall into a tangent. That basically is a way to check myself. It also means to me to make sure I'm drinking water. But I'm here in Seattle, and my day job is at 9 o'clock, and I'm blessed to work from home, so I can do. I wake up in the morning, I log on like this, I do artwork in the morning for whatever project it is that I'm working on. And then at 7:50 something, I log out, do my day job. I'm going to be back at lunchtime today working on the Martial Power System that we've got about 96 episodes behind us already on. It's at the point of my home table play tested it, but I didn't actually have it built until they were level 16. So we've only done tier 4 playtesting with it. I need to do first and second tier playtesting for it. So I'm making a Rubble Belt hex crawl campaign for people to build characters and run around inside of, basically just to randomize violence, just so that we have a chance to see how the system plays out at low levels as a playtest campaign that I'll be DMing. I'm here in the morning, Monday through Friday, just like this. On Saturday, I have a morning workbench that's later. That's like a couple hours later because I sleep in on Saturday a little bit. And then on Monday, Tuesday, and Friday lunchtime, like 5 hours, about 5 hours from now is normally when I would log on. And then work on whatever next thing it is that's coming down the pipe. And then Mondays and Thursday nights, I do another 2-ish hour stream to just work on whatever it is that I'm working on. So once this book is published, my morning is going to be the Eberron adventure for 8th level characters that we've been building, the Crystals of Mabar. It's an undead themed adventure in Karnath. And like that. And then there. And so our Mondays and Thursday nights, probably one of those nights, like either Monday, Thursday, or Saturday, I'm going to have to stop streaming so that I can have a 3-hour block of time to DM the Martial Power System, so I can start accumulating feedback for the low levels to make sure the things that I think could work will work at low levels. It was great at high levels, but it's also my home table. Those guys are so addicted to the campaigns that we run that they're like, yeah, Phil, whatever you want to do, we just want more, which is very self-aggrandizing. I recognize that, but seriously, they just finished a 5-year campaign with me from level 1 to 20. So like they're pretty lockstep in with like whatever I want to do next. They're like, yeah, let's just make it happen. Whatever you want to do, you want to do. I love my team. God bless them. I mean, so sweet to me. But I'm giving them that fix. Not a lot of people run a level 1 to 20 campaign, and I recognize that I am in a very rare position to be able to do that. I've been running D&D since 1987, so like I've got the mechanical chop. Like I've got the experience to be able to run campaigns. In 3rd edition, I was running epic level campaigns from level Like we'd start the campaign at level 21 and it'd go like to level 28 before we'd start a new one. So 5e, honestly, compared to 3e epic level adventuring, 5e is easy mode. Like if you can manage a table at level 25 in 3e, you can manage a table at level 20 in 5e. It's just a matter of having a team that's dedicated and willing to stay around long enough to get to those levels. And I intentionally curate a team that is capable of dedicating themselves to a specific time slot each week. We're going to show up and do this thing, and like that is the main criteria for being at my tables. Like you have to be able to commit, and once you commit, then it's a matter of vibe and like, you know, do you like the type of game? Like if we end up vibing, then I'll be here for years with you. So let's just make sure that we work together. And you know, you go through people and people come and go and life changes and blah blah blah. Let's grab. I'm trying to frame this. There, that's a good one. And then color in here. This is a 300 by 300 pixel. This is an inch. A print size inch. So 1 inch token. It's a lot of effort for a really small space. But I mean, at this scale, like this is probably as close as you're going to get on a virtual tabletop to looking at this character. Maybe this close. That's pretty damn good resolution for this size. Like it's a decent shape. It fits well. It's not bad. I can probably improve this. Drugs don't do it. Powered by inspiration. There. Inspiration Nation. But yeah, I'm going to cap out here in just like 6-7 minutes. I won't be streaming this again. I mean, you guys have seen this. You know, this is the point. So tonight, what'll end up happening is we're going to probably this evening we'll go back here and we're going to. This asset is literally the last asset that we need for the third part of the adventure. Get through all this stuff through here. So the next thing that we'll be doing is the Saviors of the Multiverse will extract this map and pull off all the little icons on it so that you can move them around yourself. We'll extract the Citadel, and then we have the zoom in for the actual temple itself, the turrets, the Warbird squadrons, the Starbeam, which is like basically like a radiant damage lightning bolt that has a 2-mile reach that does in the hundreds of damage, so it can scorch ships in one hit. So the way that squadron mechanics work is that you can have squadrons. You can designate the damage that each ship takes in a squadron. So if your characters are on a ship that's inside of a larger squadron, you can sacrifice other ships to prevent your characters from taking any actual damage on their ship. So you can gamify it that way. Keep your characters safe while still going through the troops that you're leading. And the faceless, nameless chumps at the front line of the battle are the ones that are going to get eaten. You never know who they are, and they're not important, so you don't care. They get chewed up and spat out, and then but the heroes, the characters, the whole point of it, that's still leading the army, the actual army, they survive the experience, and then they go on to do the plot. They go and make the story happen. I don't know. Maybe I'll. I don't know. I should have this. So there's like I finished my day. I've got basically like a 2.5 hour, 3 hour break between my day job and then evening streams on Mondays. So I'll finish this. Maybe I'll have this done in the next 4 minutes, but it doesn't look like it. I think it just needs a little bit more touch-up work. I don't want to rush it. But it's almost there. And then we have the ship stat sheets. Like I could just like publish the tokens and there you go, but all these ships have so many weapons on them. The melee weapons, the grappling weapons, rams, and then all the siege ranged weapons that they can attack with. Like, there's a lot of shit you can do on any particular ship. You can keep your entire team occupied with tasks to perform during combat. So I'm building these stat sheets to make it easy for people to at a glance, like, yeah, what does a squid ship normally have on it? It's got its piercing ram, it's got the grappling tentacles, it's got a trebuchet, it's got multiple ballistas, an eldritch cannon, as well as harpoon flingers. And then whatever the crew is going to actually do, like in combat if somebody boards their ship. So like squid ships have like a ton of shit going on. So like spelling out all that stuff, like having one consolidated place to look at all that stuff instead of making a DM flip back and forth through the book between the ship and the weapons. That's just a courtesy, like a quality of life courtesy that just makes the book that much easier for people to implement. Which ultimately is our goal, right? We want people to use these mechanics because they expand the style of campaign that you can actually imagine and run for your table, and lean into these like giant fantasies. Super fun stuff. That looks pretty good. I think I'm happy with that. I don't think I need to take it any further than that. So let's fix up his legs down here. I've started throwing peanuts out onto my front porch, or my back porch actually. Words. And squirrels, crows, blue jays, and finch are starting to take interest in these. They're unsalted peanuts. They're just peanut shells, peanuts. You know what a peanut is. But boy, they sure do love them. I'm getting a little army of critters, like Disney style, accumulating at my back porch. Like, where's the stuff? We want the stuff. I love that. Little critters. There. I swear to God, one of these days I'm going to do a book and it's just going to be line art. Like inks, just inks. Fast, easy done. The DMs Guild providing color assets means that there's always a saturation of color work everywhere inside the products. And when you don't use color, it sticks out like a sore thumb. But in the external world, like the OBS scene or like on Drive-Thru RPG, there's a lot of high quality books that are only using really good ink art, and I can crack out ink really fucking fast. So that is something that I've been considering. That would allow me to collapse time frames on building stuff. Just not there yet. Not sure. I end up doing what the muse wants me to do, and she loves to paint. Hey, hold on. Let's get that face there into these talons. I don't see any color, so I have to reference different images and illustrations that I fetch offline, and then I end up self-referencing inside of the piece to be self-coherent. And I use my RGB indicator up here in the upper right-hand corner for me to keep an eye on like what the actual color is, like so I know like this is a red, green, blue. So that's like some sort of like that. This array is a very like leather, natural, like like bone or carapace, leather. I see this scale, like this ratio of red to green to blue, a lot in organic creatures. So it's generally a safe place. And I don't remember what color reference. I was actually referencing an Aarakocra art from the Monster Manual to be able to fetch up this this color scheme. But no one ever questions it. I've been painting and selling book covers as a freelancer for a couple of decades at this point, and none of my purchasing artists, none of my purchasing patrons ever really question that I don't see color. This is back in the 2000s when I was doing book covers for independent third-party third edition PDFs too. So at this point, I'm bold enough with my I'm confident enough in my art that I can just freely talk about. I used to hide it. I used to be terrified that if they knew I didn't see color, no one would want to hire me. And I've gotten to a point where it's never impacted people's interest in my work. If anything, it just increases it. So now I'm at a place of like, what are the chances of somebody colorblind looking for art? Like, how can I paint in color too? Because I had to figure that shit out on my own. But I did. If I had a superpower, it's like Forge, man. Figuring shit out. It's kind of what I do. No brags. I'm just saying. If the question is how would you do that, I can probably find an answer that'll work. It just seems to be who I am. So I'm incredibly proud of. And I know my timer popped, and I have to log out here, but literally all I have to do is paint these toes. Okay, looks like we're done for the day. Well, for the morning anyway. I'm going to be back at lunch. We're going to keep working on. When we go back to martial powers, we're going to look at global enchantments from Magic the Gathering cards to convert them into hazards in the hex belt in the Robo Belt hex crawl campaign that we're building. There's threats from creatures. Hazards like natural hazards of the environment, and then there's magical hazards in the form of rogue enchantments. So we're researching different types of global enchantment effects in Magic the Gathering cards to create those random conditions, because each hex is randomized, right? It's a hex crawl. You randomize that shit. And so it'll be randomized, and so we'll have the option of like random threats that the team will face inside of that hex to challenge their mana supply and the powers that they've chosen for the day. And just to play test it, just to see how it feels. Me as a DM, I'm play testing the Rebel Belt concept, and anyone that's interested in play testing it and jumping on the table with me is going to be building a character using the martial power system, and then helping me play test. How does it feel? Is it fun? How's the tempo? Like the resources? Blah blah blah. Feedback. And for those that knows. On my Patreon channel, if you are a paying member of my Patreon, you have first rights to seats. So like if you're available on a day that I'm playing and you're a Patreon, you automatically go to the front of the line to be able to play, and then we'll have an open, like basically an open call roster once we start actually running that. And I'm hoping to have the campaign built out and us to start actually playtesting it maybe in the first week of April. Soon, TM. Very, very soon, TM. And that's it. So I think that's I think that looks a hella better than the other one did. Let's black and white this real quick. And oops, did we? Hold on. File, open. production, VTT tokens, Light of Xaryxis, Chaos and Doom Space, Arena of Blood. No. Just going, there we go. Okay, nope, that's it. We're done. So, save, and then let's get rid of the background. File, save as, computer, production, VTT, Light of Xaryxis, Chaos and Doom Space, Diplomacy, PNG, Era, Kokra, Crewmate. No, I did that backwards. Kokra. Is that right? Cadency. Cadency. There we go. Arrow Crewmate. Bam. There we go. Finished. So that's it for today, guys. I'll be back at lunchtime, and then I'll be back this evening as well. And then tomorrow morning we'll be back. We'll probably be working on the ship stat sheets tomorrow morning. Once these assets are finished, the stat sheets, the only thing left before we publish. I am expecting this to publish in a matter of days now, potentially on Thursday. It's just a matter of how fast we can get it done. So, at worst, at the very worst, it's going to be Monday the 18th, a week from now. At the very worst. I'm anticipating Thursday or sooner. Maybe, probably not sooner. Maybe Thursday or Friday. Soon. Super, super soon. So, stick around. Anyone else that's catching this in the future, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon to get notifications when I'm here in the future, because I'm always here. And thanks a lot, guys. Thanks, Karen. And I will see everyone on the other side. Thanks a lot. Bye.